All right, and we're live. Chris, we're recording. Chris, how's it going? What you been up to?
It's good. Went running this morning. I lost my dog. She got off the leash. She wouldn't go back. It was just a nightmare. I lost my keys. I'm hungover.
He's hungover.
Because I drank a Red Bull. Yes, no, it was a Monster.
A Monster.
I drank a Monster yesterday, and it's like, but we're here.
We're
here, and we got a special guest.
Yeah. Who do?
Carol Kim.
Carol
from
Kim.
the building
head of
trades.
Building trades. Carol.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Hungover, I guess.
Yeah.
I know. It sounds like you started off by saying you're good, and it sounds like you're not. None of those things sounded good.
I made it. Well, I had some green tea. It's just been really rough because my wife didn't. There wasn't any green tea in the house.
Got it.
And it's just been downhill from there.
These are the things sometimes.
These are like first world problems. I don't
These
got
are-
green tea.
these are first world
Yeah, I don't got green tea. Damn. So, yeah, no, definitely. So, Carol, if you want to just introduce yourself, so these viewers, they know who you are. I'm sure most of them already know who you are. Our target audience is our community. But yeah, if you want.
Well, yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for inviting me, first of all. My name is Carol Kim. I'm the business manager of the San Diego County Building and Construction Trades Council. And business manager is a weird union way of saying like the chief executive, right? So the person in charge, as it were. And, we've got presidents, we've got secretary treasurers, we've got business managers, and all of those words are kind of interchangeable. And so that's what that is.
So
Just in case you hear
you're
it.
like the head of the building trades here in San Diego.
Yes, that's right. And the Building Trades Council is an umbrella organization of all the construction unions in the county, excepting the carpenters. They're not affiliated to us, but we work with them a lot, obviously, because they are very active in construction. And but I represent over 35,000 union construction workers countywide, and I fight for both union and non-union workers.
Well, okay, going back to pre-apprentice program.
Yeah.
Or apprenticeships
I never
in
like
general.
talking about hangovers.
Yeah.
We're trying to make. I guess we're making. But I thought it's interesting because when I went to high school, it was just like, okay, you go to high school, you go to college, you get into debt, and it's college is expensive,
Yeah.
depending on where you go.
Yeah.
How do you get into a trade and make money so you can go to the casino
And win or lose.
Right.
and not get into so much debt in college?
Well, okay, so let's talk, going back to what you were saying, right, about college being expensive, et cetera. Union construction, well, let me back up. Construction unions have developed over the last century a really robust set of system of apprenticeship programs, right? And apprenticeships are actually almost like millennia old. They've been around for over 1,000 years. People have been using them since way back before. Basically what you do as an apprentice is you go and learn a trade or craft, whatever it is. It could be shoemaking. It could be cigar rolling. It could.
Used to smoke cigars a
Yeah.
long time ago.
I'm thinking of buying cigars for Vegas. Okay,
Good. No, I can't. I can't smoke them anymore. It's a gateway for me.
when in Vegas.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
Anyways, so going back to that. So they can be for any trade or craft or industry, right, and occupation. And the idea is that they're basically earn while you learn. So you go and you're being taught a trade, you're working on the job. And that's the key component of an apprenticeship. It's not so much like the coursework and trade, almost always around 2,000 hours of on-the-job training a year. And then on top of that, you get coursework. So you actually go to classes, you get instruction. In fact, you get paid for your time.
You get paid?
You get paid. Yeah, it's an earn while you learn. So
You get paid in training as well. I mean, like in classes.
you get paid and trained. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So essentially what you have to remember is that the courses you take and the time you're working. So the contractors obviously pay you for your time. Apprenticeships start with a job. A lot of people don't get that. They actually think it's an education program, and it is a type of education program, right? But they're first and foremost an actual job. So
Wow.
if there's not a job to dispatch you to or to put you on in order to get that apprenticeship, those hours, then you're not in a real apprenticeship.
Wow.
That's just it, right?
Oh wow.
So that's the thing that a lot of people don't get, is that the apprenticeship is really always starts with a job. And so that's a huge piece of it. When you come into an apprenticeship program, for a union apprenticeship program, there's different types of models. Some of the models require you to go, like the carpenters, I believe, they require you to go and be sponsored in by a contractor. So a contractor has to say, I will take you on and I will put you into the apprenticeship and I'll sponsor you because you'll be working on my projects, blah, 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 right? So there's that kind of model. And then other models like the IBW, for instance, and the roofers, you don't need a sponsor. What you do is you come in and they dispatch you to work amongst all of their various signatory contractors, right? So you'll, spend the first month and a half on this job or this project working for this contractor. Then you'll get maybe moved for another 6 months to this other project with this other contractor. But you'll move around, and the idea is that by the end of your apprenticeship program, and the terms are different per trade or craft, by the end of the apprenticeship program, you will be what's called a journeyman, because when you graduate out, you journey out, is what we call it. When you journey out, you become a journeyman in your craft. And you receive a portable credential, basically, right?
Wow.
It's a portable credential that you receive from the state that certifies you as a journeyman in your craft. And you can take that portable credential, it's like a diploma, right?
Wow.
You can take that credential and go anywhere in the United States and say, I'm a journeyman in this trade, right? So, and a journeyman, the final and the question that stands out in his head as the one that's critical and the most important was this. It was, and I apologize in advance for my language.
No, go ahead.
It was, if you fuck it up, can you fix it? Right? So if you make a mistake, something is really screwed up, can you assess the issue and then fix it? Because that's what a journeyman can do. You actually
Wow.
understand the systems, not just like the one task. So, it's not just knowing how to like take this widget and attach it to that widget,
Right.
You actually understand how to do all of it so well that you can undo a whole thing and rebuild it so that it works, right? So that's what and the idea is that during your apprenticeship, that's the kind of skill and training you're receiving. And I think our shortest apprenticeships are 2 years. I think the laborers are a 2-year program. The longest ones are 5 years. So
Oh wow.
IBW, which is the electrical workers, the sheet metal workers, the plumbers and pipe fitters. Those I believe are 5-year programs. So the mechanical trades is what we call them. Those are 5-year. And then there's a whole bunch in between. It really can run anywhere from 2 years all the way up to 5. But this is why we also call apprenticeships the other 4-year degree, right?
Oh, that's where it comes from. Gotcha.
Yeah, because they're long. And
Well, you heard it here on the Union or Bust podcast. You get paid right away.
Yeah.
So that is really cool.
You get paid right away, and here's the other thing. Not only do you get paid right away, but you also start getting health and welfare benefits, right? So you actually will start getting the full family medical health care benefits that unions provide under their contracts. And obviously there's like the whole probationary period and
Right,
that whole
right.
thing. But once you clear that, you start earning those benefits, right?
Wow.
Into your pension.
Wow.
So, like for IBW, for instance, 5-year program, they start vesting on day 1 of the apprenticeship. They actually, the day they graduate, 5 years later, you're walking out of your training program, your career workforce development training program, right?
With a retirement.
With a retirement. Yeah, a pension retirement, by the way, not
not a 401k.
Not a
exactly.
401k,
Yeah.
wow.
Defined benefit, not defined contribution.
Yeah, definitely. So, and well, I'm with IATSE, and we have a pre-apprentice apprenticeship program as well, and it sounds very similar to what you just talked about. I didn't know that different unions had there were different trades, and unions had different types of apprenticeship, and then the whole sponsoring thing. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So there's different models of doing it, but the sponsoring, it's right.
Yeah.
There's a student and there's an apprentice. A student is just somebody who's learning.
Yeah.
An apprentice is somebody who's learning on the job. That's the big piece.
So that I think this obviously I think it's like a viable option for kids that are about to graduate.
Oh yeah.
Right, to look into hey, why not just jump into something that's not going to get you in debt like college can?
Yeah.
I went to college and whatever, but it's not a bad thing. It's not.
Oh, it's an awesome thing. It's actually really great. And here's this: studies have actually shown now. There have been several studies that have been done on this. But studies have shown that if you graduate from a union apprenticeship program, not non-union, they actually studied both kinds, you will make over the course of your lifetime as much as somebody with a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not as though you are, and chances are you can actually like retire on the end of it with greater retirement security, right?
Yeah.
So like that, there's a huge difference in terms of what the initial investment is into your education, but the outcome is
Yeah.
actually just as good. Before I was with the building trades, I spent the first nearly 20 years of my career in education. So I was a classroom teacher, and then I worked in education research. And so, you know, I've always felt like education for a long time took this hard swing towards colleges. Everybody sort of thought that was the good thing because that's the thing that was there. And now we all realize on the other side of that particular social experiment that, oh, no, actually you can oversaturate the economy with people with college degrees that are not necessarily usable, right?
Right.
And then two, there's a ton of student loan debt, so banks love college degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I remember in high school, the only thing I saw were people trying to recruit you for the Army. There was no, other options. Like, really good to have you on the show to kind of like explain, hey, this is another option. I'm not,
Yeah.
we're saying, higher education, but there's other options for people, and
There
people
are.
just don't know.
Yeah.
And one of the things I used to always say in education is that, and even now, is that our education should always provide you more opportunities, not fewer. They should broaden your scope instead of narrowing it. And for a long time, we narrowed scopes. Turns out the pathway to success is a good union job.
There you go.
So,
Well,
you
well,
know.
I don't know.
Union or vote union?
Are we a little bit biased? Are we a little bit biased, Chris? I don't know. but I love it. But I think like that's what, because going to college, I switched my major like 3 or 4. A lot of people still don't know what they're gonna be. Even getting close to graduating, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something with the community or something.
Right.
And then I just happened to get an internship there, then an internship at the Labor Council, and then that's when I knew, oh shit, this is where I belong. So I think that's like getting into college is, you're still young. Right after high school, you're still young and not know exactly what you want to do sometimes. So it's okay to jump into a good pre-apprentice program and do construction right off the bat and make some good money and not get into debt. And as you're still growing as an individual too,
Sure.
you're building a pension, you have health care, you can provide.
Well, here's the thing, and pre-apprenticeship programs are not apprenticeship programs, right?
Gotcha.
Pre-apprenticeship programs are apprenticeship readiness programs. And the idea is that apprenticeship programs are actually, again, because they start with a job, union kind. And the union kind, so basically the way the funding, where it comes from is half of the funding comes from our signatory, half comes from our union members. So for instance, for me, for every dollar I work, or for every hour I work, like $1.50 goes into the Union Education Trust, which
Gotcha.
funds the apprenticeship program. And that trust takes money from the signatory contractors and from the union members, and it funds the program, right? Now, this means that
Exactly.
we're investing a ton of money. I remember back in like 2018, and I don't know what the numbers are exactly now, but 2018, 2017, around that time, IBW 569 in their apprenticeship program, for instance, they actually were investing on average about $70,000 per apprentice that comes into the program. So we're not interested in people who are just trying it out and killing
Gotcha.
time, right? We actually want people who are serious. So that means some of them are actually pretty easy. Some of them have lower thresholds. Most of them require a GED or a high school diploma to start. Meet some very basic standards, but you also have to take a test. A lot of them have entry tests, and a lot of them have math tests. And then all of them require or have an opportunity, or have an option or a requirement, depending on the time, to you have to interview in front of a panel.
Oh, wow.
You have to go through an interview. So you have to turn in an application with all this paperwork and portfolio, and whatever, your resume, etc., your tests, your licenses, blah, blah, blah. You turn all that in, and then you get an interview appointment, and you show up, and you interview in front of a panel of people, half signatory, half labor, right?
Oh, wow.
Because the idea is it's a joint labor management,
Right.
um, program. So that's the committee. So that committee will interview incoming apprentices, and they will either accept you or not. I always tell people our union construction apprenticeship programs are actually like the Harvard of career development programs and vocational programs. This is not a social work, right? So we've got these programs that are set up. They're called MC3. They're multi-craft core curriculum. Multi-craft meaning they cover all the different crafts and trades, right? And there's a core curriculum, and it comes out of NAB2, which is the North American Building Trades Union. That's our national umbrella. And so it's our international umbrella, I guess. And so the NAB2 developed this particular curriculum, and through the local building trades councils, people or organizations can get permission to adopt the curriculum and use it, right? And so we have MC3 programs running throughout the county that people can go to. The idea is that, you go through this program, you learn about all the trades. Going to be like in construction, because people in construction get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and they have to be on the work site sometimes like at 5 or 6 or before the sun rises. I mean, there's plenty of job site visits I do where I'm out there before the sun is up with all the other workers, right? So these are and not everybody wants that. Plus, construction is really physically rigorous, right? So you've got to be able to keep up. And in union construction, we are the best of the best, we like to say. And so because of that, it means you have to perform. You have to be ready to show up and actually be able to perform for your contractors to get that work done on time and under budget and all the rest, right? So it's not a job that you just show up for and kind of try
collect
out.
a paycheck.
Exactly.
Well,
but the pre-apprenticeship programs are a great way to find out if this is
it's
for
kind of
you.
like taking your GE credits or whatever at community college.
That's right.
But did I mention that Tovar is a laborer?
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we're supporting.
We're supportive. Yeah, so
Very good,
we're
very
supporting his wedding and
Yeah.
what comes down with
Yeah.
it. He's been there for a while, and he's done good for himself being a laborer. He's made really good money.
It's all about our prevailing wage scales.
Yeah.
So all of when you're in the union for construction, you're making prevailing wage nearly all the time. And that's different from other types of non-union construction.
Yeah.
Non-union construction, you are not.
Yeah.
You're very rarely making prevailing wage. That's what you're making. And when you're an apprentice, just FYI, you'll always know what you're going to be making because it's always a percentage of the prevailing wage based on the period you're in. So as a
Gotcha.
first period apprentice, you're usually making half of prevailing wage, right? So if the prevailing wage is like $46 an hour for a journeyman, then you're going to be making 23 in their first period. And first period is like a semester. First semester,
Gotcha.
that's what you get. After you getting all the requirements and showing up on time and all the rest, you actually get a bump because you're going into second period. So you get a raise to 55 or 60%, depending on the trade, right, of prevailing wage. And then the next period, you go up again, same thing. So every period you do incomplete, you actually get a raise based on that. And then when you're at the end of your apprenticeship program, you're usually making around 90%, or it's like somewhere close to prevailing wage, full prevailing wage. And when you journey out, you are making full prevailing wage.
I
all
like
the time.
that.
Whoa.
Speaking of prevailing wage, my cousin's an electrician and he non-union. Trying to get him to
Exactly.
join for the past 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Like all the barbecues we throw, he's always asking me questions, and I'm like, dude.
What's he afraid of?
He says because sometimes I don't know. He says sometimes he makes really good money. I don't know if does non-union sometimes just make really good money really fast, and then sometimes they don't, obviously, because but
itinerant work.
but union is more consistent and it's
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
wages, right?
Yeah, it's always
It's-
good wages. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like our industry, stagehands. Yeah, some of our freelancers, not in the union, but when they freelance, they can charge a day rate. They can charge up to like $700 in a day, $800 in a day.
Yeah.
But some people just want that fast
Yeah,
money.
that fast money. That's a real thing, and it frankly, even in union construction, you've got to actually if the economy is hot, and that means construction is booming, right?
Right.
Because when everything is going well, businesses want to build.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so that's when construction is booming, and there's never enough workers, and there's never enough work, and people are just out all the time, right? But if the economy is low, then the first thing that happens is the private construction dries up like that.
Yeah.
So those projects just stop. And in fact, during the recession, the Great Recession in 2007, that period of
Yeah.
time, 2007 to 2012, I guess it was about there.
Yeah.
High rises that were like half built and they
Yeah.
just stopped. Like they literally stayed unfinished for sometimes
Yep.
years till
Wow.
somebody came in after that and bought them and finished them up.
Yeah.
So you'll see that kind of thing happen in construction. And so it's really important as a construction worker, whether you're union or non-union, to have really strong like financial literacy.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that we teach our apprentices, because we know that they have to know how to actually manage their money to be successful in the long term through those cycles. But I'll tell you, when it comes to the union and non-union, I have a friend, or he's one of my members in the ironworkers, and
Wow.
many years. And we did a career fair, an apprenticeship career fair out in, and he showed up to it because he wanted to see what was going, because we had advertised it everywhere, and so he came just to see what was going on, and he got up like during, like, there was a little panel like that where we had Nathan Fletcher and a couple others like talking about why these careers are so good and these opportunities are so valuable. And at the end of it, he raised his hand and he got up and he told this story about how he had worked non-union iron worker for, said, and these union organizers would like approach me constantly and be like, hey, why don't you join the union, come on over, sign up. And he'd be like, yeah, no thanks, I'm not interested. Right?
Exactly.
And he said, that went on for like years, right? But they were persistent, because organizers are.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of them showed Danny Wisma, I think it was, that finally broke through with him. He gave him his card and he said, look, give me a chance. Give me a chance and give me a call if you decide that you will. So he said something happened and he decided to give him a call, and he signed up with the union, and and now he makes $28 an hour more than he did when he was non-union.
Wow.
Yes. And so this is like the difference, right? Like that's like having another job entirely, right? It's like you're working two jobs, but you're only working one. Like you're getting paid for the value of your labor. And
For
you're
doing the
getting,
same work.
You've got for doing the
That he
the
was
same work,
doing,
and probably doing a little bit better because you're getting upskilled.
Yeah.
That's the other thing our apprenticeship programs do, is after you journey out, they still provide extra training, continuing education for our members. It's like technologies like progress and advance, et cetera. And so we've got to keep up with the latest and whatever, things, and we'll bring them in, and you can come in and get trained again for free on those things, so that you're able to have those skills and present them as a value to your contractors.
This is really interesting. I couldn't imagine going to class, in college, taking a test, and the teacher goes, "Great job," and here's writes you a check, and you get paid for the day. I mean, it's like that's really cool, and I do not think enough people know about this, and I think it's really important that people know. I mean, I remember I was socially conditioned. You go to college. I didn't know my parents I knew I had to go to college. It was just like, you go to college.
Yeah.
And I think about what if someone from the building trades came into class, hey, this is, these are options and stuff like that. Now it's hard work. I mean, we're all talking about how great it is, but it is very
really
hard work.
It's really hard work, but it's worthwhile work, obviously, because there's nothing more tangible than walking away from a building and knowing that you built that. In fact, that's if you walk around with any construction worker, especially like a union construction worker, because we build the big stuff, right? We build the skyscrapers, we build the hospitals, we build the convention centers,
Petco Park,
and the Petco Park, and the big hotels. I mean, you'll drive around with folks and they'll be like, I built that, I built that, I built that, and of course, they just did the glazing on it or the duct for the HVAC, but they built the whole thing.
That's right.
That's the way it is. I built that. I built that. Exactly. It's fun.
That's kind of like my friend Tovar. Work for Dish Network, and when we drive back in our party days, anybody, I installed that, I did that one over there. So it's similar to that. You're proud of your work that you did.
That's right.
And you remember when you did it, kind of deal, because it's something that you create. You create something that
we're gonna have to have Tovar on the show.
Yeah,
because everyone's like, "Where's Tovar? Who's this Tovar guy?" We're like, "We're going to Vegas."
We're going to Vegas. Oh, we'll go
I
live.
hope everyone knows about the bachelor party.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go live. Don't worry about it. You'll know who Tovar is.
We can cut that out.
We'll cut that out.
No. We're gonna keep him in.
Yeah, but I like we mentioned earlier before we started recording, that I think that people have a bad connotation on construction on the pond. Do you think that's real or true?
No, I think it is. I think that's ridiculous, frankly.
Yeah.
It's mean, blue collar work is the work that like allows everything else to happen,
Yeah.
right? And without it, white collar workers are shit out of luck, frankly.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
they don't have buildings or classrooms or hospitals or whatever to like work inside of, and the things that they want to have done. Yeah, I think construction is awesome. Like if I had known, and if I were slightly bigger than I am, I'm not. But here's what I'll say is that like I haven't,
Mm-hmm.
but I've met other women who are about my size who are just killing it out there, right?
Yeah.
And it's about it's really it's something that if you want to do it,
You do
you
it.
can do it,
Yeah.
and you'll find the ways to like figure out how to do it. Like women are incredibly good welders and that sort of thing, and there's a lot of opportunities in those spaces. The it's good work, and it's work that's family sustaining. Our apprenticeship readiness instructors, he's actually a former non-union construction worker. Like he spent his whole entire career in construction work. I was like, hey, you know, so you worked non-union all your life? And he goes, yeah. And I go, so why are you so, can I ask, why are you so pro-union now? And he said, yeah, that's a good question. He's like, well, you know, I got to my late 50s and I got injured at work, you know, because construction will take wear and tear on your body, right? And he goes, so I got injured and became disabled. I was out of a job. I had no health insurance. I had no retirement, and Carol, I'm just trying to survive now. I'm literally scrapping to survive. And at the time, he was teaching at Urban Corps, which is a program that it is a social services program that takes in youth. And so he was teaching an MC3 class there, and he said, and I don't want any of my students to have my future. He's like, I want them to be union, because my union buddies, the buddies that I had in construction who were on the union side, they are now retired. They're going on cruises with their wives. You know, their kids are going to college. They don't have to worry the way I worry about whether I can even pay my rent or keep my electrical on, you know, like that kind of thing, right? So non-union construction can be highly exploited because nobody's actually out there enforcing compliance to labor standards and safety, et cetera. But beyond that, what your listeners and everybody should know is that 40% of the people who are enrolled in our social safety net programs are means-tested, state-funded social safety net programs. 40% of them are from construction working families.
Wow.
40% across the board of all industries that are enrolled in those programs are from construction working families, and you can bet those are non-union construction working families.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Non-construction, they cut corners and they try to make a profit. Well, it's all about profit. No. I've been working since I was 8 years old with my dad in construction, so I don't.
They'll pay you minimum wage and bring you a case of beer to share with the other
Give
guys.
you
at the end
you
of the-
know,
That's what my cousin always says.
Wrap.
Car, you know, car.
Yeah.
And he has a shop, a body shop, and then he's all like, if I had issues with my car, I'd be like, yeah, just bring me a 12-pack, and
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, sounds good to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's another problem.
that's the non-union electrician.
That's another problem.
So everyone's in its personality, but no, that's what I'm saying. I think construction is a good career choice. It's an
excellent career
alternative,
choice.
but it is.
Especially for people who want to work with their hands and who want to make things. It's awesome, and if you're in union construction, it pays incredibly well. We're talking like 6 figures a year, guys.
Wow.
You know, I mean,
Are you guys hiring that, Chris?
we actually are.
Oh shit.
There right now, the economy is the construction industry right now is very hot.
Yeah.
Meaning that there's a lot going on. Some of our unions at this moment are doing direct entry, meaning that they're not even requiring you to do all the stuff. You know, if you're interested and you can do the work and you feel like you can handle it, they're going to give you a shot. They're going to put you on a job and get you
Wow.
into the programs
Yeah.
and stuff. So right now there's like that kind of need for workers, and
Yeah.
you know, this is a great time. And I want to really encourage people who, you know, a lot of times we get criticized for not being diverse enough. You know, we are over 50% people of color. Largely they're Latino because it's San Diego County one,
Yeah.
right? Made up of. So we're actually representative in that space. But you know, we would love to see more women in the industry. Women are, you know, depending on where you're looking, they make anywhere from like 2.5 to 6.7% of the industry, and that 6.7 includes all the people in the offices too. But we would love more women. There's a ton of efforts right now to push to help women actually make the leap into the trades. Because again, union construction is a really good career. This is an opportunity. And right now, like I said, there's a lot of policy pushes. So there's like childcare money that's starting to come
That's
down
gonna be good.
the pike. It's all kinds of stuff that's available that will help women make the leap into this. So that's the first thing. We're also looking for more Black folks. We'd love more Asian Americans. I mean, I'm going to say, of all of the underrepresented groups, the one that's most under Asian American Pacific Islanders in construction.
Wow.
So I would love to see, obviously, more of my people getting these amazing
there you have it.
opportunities. But everybody needs to know
Yeah.
about this and come and give us a try, give us a shot. And if you want to make a good living, if you don't want to be laden down with student loan debt, if you know you can work hard and you can keep up, if you are a person who can get to a job site like at the crack of dawn and be okay with being home at 3:30 p.m. because
Yeah.
that's when your shift ends,
It's better than having two like Walmart jobs
Yeah,
and still
yeah.
working your ass off and,
And then like
being
being
depressed and stressed.
have being a Starbucks barista.
Exactly, no benefits, no retirement.
Many people who like have that Starbucks barista job because they do provide some health care.
Yeah.
Right? So they'll be like working all these random things, but they're also like putting in their shifts
Yeah.
at Starbucks so that they can get their health care. And I'm like, come on over here. Why don't you come over here?
It's just it's you don't know what you don't know, and that we one of the reasons Juan and I love doing the show is because we want everyone to know how exciting the labor movement is, and there's so much to be excited about.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on the show and you're just like, here, you can actually do this and get, people just don't know it.
Yeah.
People just don't have the access, and so maybe sometimes that there's a reason for that. I mean, I'm not going to get all interpretation, but yeah, I think
And speaking of women in construction, though, like on TikTok, me and Chris are on
yeah.
TikTok, and we're following women in construction, like carpenters, electricians, and they're always making videos.
Yeah.
They get so many hits. Like, they have so many followers.
And a lot of women like are
Chris,
on
make sure.
a lot of women are on the show and not on the show on TikTok, and it's cool. They like talk about what they do. They go, hey, I'm here. They'll show what jobs they're doing. It's like, and I repost, and it's just really cool. So there's a lot of on TikTok, and I am your union brother on TikTok. In case we didn't
Union organizer, whatever.
union organizer, with a zero.
Well, I think that's a lot of information for sure. I'm in labor, and I didn't know most of
I
this.
didn't know any of this.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
And this is also one of the reasons why like the Building Trades Council chases project labor agreements so hard. The reason is as unions, we represent the worker, not the contractor, right? So we want to make sure that all of those apprentices, if we say to them, this is a 2-year program, this is a 4-year program, this is a 5-year program, that they actually journey out in that time. And we want to make sure that we're partnering with them in good faith. And so if I don't have jobs to dispatch them to, will they actually journey out in time? They won't, actually. And that's what happens with a lot of non-union apprentices. They will get into an apprenticeship program on the non-union side, because those do exist. And sometimes those 3.5-year, 4-year programs turn into 7-year, 8-year, 9-year programs because they're just not able to get those prevailing wage apprenticeable hours, right? Because there's not those jobs to dispatch them to from their signatory contract, from their contractors, right? Those non-union contractors are not signatory, sorry. So for us, like having project labor agreements is incredibly important because those create the pipeline, right? So that those project labor agreements that are prevailing wage, public works, prevailing wage work, have an apprenticeship utilization requirement built right into them. 20% of the hours actually are required by the state to be worked by an apprentice.
Nice.
Which means that I can make sure that they're actually working through their apprenticeship program and journeying out at the appropriate time.
So definitely it's not like you all are making sure there's a pathway to become a journeyman.
Like colleges are about educating you. They're not there to actually make sure that you have a job on
that's
the other
true.
side of it,
True.
right? So we are people that are about, like, obviously we can't even educate you if you don't have the job to begin with, right? So that's the thing. And so when there are fewer PLAs, when there are fewer union contractors, there are way fewer apprentices. And that's, in San Diego, that's been a long time thing,
Yeah.
right? Only very recently have we gotten to the place where politically and otherwise, unions have started to gain ground.
Mm-hmm.
And as we have, we've gotten more PLAs. So we're now ramping up. All of our union apprenticeship programs are
Ramping
growing
up.
at the moment
Wow.
because we've got the work to be able to push them through, right?
Yeah.
And we can anticipate the work coming, right? And the fact that we've got Joe Biden in the White House directing all of this infrastructure funding with labor standard requirements built into it means that, again, we know that those opportunities are there, and we can project for that, and we can bring in more people.
Cool. All right, Carol. Well, any last words, Carol or Chris? We're at 52 minutes now. Defense, I mean.
You're not living to work, you're working to live.
There you go.
There you go. That's how we're going to end it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, everybody, we're going to release this pretty soon. And again, this is Carol Kim. She's the head of the building trades.
All right. Thank you, guys.